I got called into the office for calling one of my coworkers an asshole the other day. And I was afraid I might be getting fired. So when the arborist first told me I needed to come into her office after work, I got all my stuff together, like kind of emptied out my locker, put it in my backpack, and it just kind of reminded me of that feeling like I never know when I start a job or get in a relationship, like the where, the what, or the when, that everything's going to fall apart. Anyway, I figured, well, this is it. Maybe she discovered my channel, or who knows, or because I was giving him a hard time about the birds. And so what happened was the grand opening for the dog park was on Monday, and there was all this getting ready, and I had to mow the lawn there, but I was really careful to give the birds the ducks and the duck and the duck eggs and the killdeer plenty of space, and there was a guy who was weed whipping or weed whacking and weed eater, and I saw him working the fence line, and he was doing these logs, and the duck's right next to a log, and I just figured for sure he wouldn't go over there, and then the way that I fenced it off was on one side, this log side, the fence is only like 2.5, 3 feet from the duck's nest, and then there were some bushes there that were like just outside of my fence, but they made great cover for the duck. And she was already trying to be as low as she could to be kind of stealthy, like you'd see her like real down low. And it was kind of pretty hard to see her, and these little bit of bushes that remained really helped to conceal her in the nest. Anyways, I was mowing, and then I looked over and I saw the duck come flying out, and then I saw that he was over there weed whacking, and he cut down all those bushes that were right on the fence that was protecting her and giving her some concealment. And he had scared her off the nest too, and it just really ticked me off. And I usually don't speak up about anything, but I've been real passionate about this particular problem. And so I sort of marched over to him, and I was like, why in the fuck did you just take away what little cover that she had left and spook her off her nest? And he was like, oh, well, this is the U of U graduate. He was like, well, I was told to weed whack around all the logs. And I said, well, you didn't have to do this log. And then I just said, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. And then I turned and walked away. And at the time I felt better, because I was really ticked off, and I felt like it was really stupid. And then he knew I was there, and I'm sensitive about the bird thing, so you would think just he would have thought about, I better not do that, or Brian might give me a hard time or something, but he didn't. And so then I did give him a hard time, and his response, he actually looked kind of scared, which actually felt kind of good. I know that sounds bad, but given my relationships with men and stuff, it was like I had turned the tables a bit, and it really took him aback, and I felt like he had it coming and deserved it. Then later I started thinking about it, and then it was kind of tense. I was like, kind of trying to avoid him later in the day, and I could tell he was trying to avoid me, and I seen him talking to my boss, the arborist, about it, and so I was like, yeah, man, this maybe wasn't the best idea I'd had, or my best action, and so I slept on it, and then the next day I thought, I better apologize to him, and I sort of wanted to, but I sort of didn't want to. But I was like, yeah, I really should probably apologize to him for talking to him like that. And so I went up to him, and I put out my hand to shake his hand, and I said, hey, man, I'm sorry for calling you an asshole yesterday. And he shook my hand, and he said, no worries. But I could tell even that kind of disturbed him a little bit, you know. And it's kind of funny, like, if you apologize like that and you say, hey, I'm sorry, I called you an asshole yesterday. It's almost like calling him an asshole again today. It's in a weird way. It's kind of funny. But I feel like, I don't know. I felt like it was progress in a way, that I was able to express myself and sort of try to defend the Ducks and defend my position a little bit more. And so I feel like it was progress in my relationships in the world of men. But it was overall, I should have handled it slightly different. I mean, I think it was okay to like raise my voice and say, why did you cut down the only cover that she had left? Yeah, I should have just said, man, I'm just really disappointed that you did that. I just almost, I can't believe you're not going to look out for this poor duck in her nest, And so everybody's probably sick of hearing about the birds from me. So I didn't go to the dog park opening. I really couldn't bear it. And it was after work, and I guess the mayor was there and some other stuff. There was like a ribbon cutting ceremony. None of the citizens of the community spoke up for the birds or said, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to open it. Maybe we could just wait another, 20 some days. And I had called the Fish and Game, or Fish and Wildlife, and they just said to fence it off. And basically they weren't worried about it either. Even though I know it's not going to work for the duck, and the dogs are just too close, and then probably the killdeer too will end up leaving. I don't know. I haven't been back to the dog park in a few days now, so. But the arborist has been giving me reports. She'll say, oh, hey, so-and-so said the duck was still on her nest this morning, or the killdeer were this or that, or so. I don't know, but I kind of gave up, and I felt like I was too emotionally involved, so I just was like, oh, all right, man, I gotta just kind of surrender here. There's a line in the big book of AA which says that acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. So I've just been trying really hard to accept what's happened there, and I am disappointed in people in general that nobody cares about the birds. And so that's about that there. But overall, the job's kind of going, okay. I'm kind of settling into it. It's not, I don't know, it gets kind of boring, I guess you could say, or something like that. Like, I was cleaning the picnic tables the other day and hosing them down and scrubbing them kind of. And it was a nice day, and the birds were chirping, the weather was good. It was like, everything was nice, I had everything I needed to be happy. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't, uncomfortable or anything, but I just was like real discontented feeling. I don't know if it was so much about like that underemployment feeling, or just I've been like sort of regretting the past a lot lately, and even like missing my ex-wife, which is weird. I haven't done that in a long time, but just missing the the sex bomber. I could use a good sex bombing, I guess, about now. But just kind of thinking about my own behavior in the past and that wreckage that I created and that I left behind. And even though I've walked away from it all, it's kind of hard not to think about it, and the ramifications and the people that I've let down and disappointed, and all that there kind of thing. But on the upside, between the tile job and this job, my financial situation's been a lot better. And so I've ordered some stuff for my motorbike, some parts to redo the forks and the stand. And you always needed a stand for it, and I finally got that. And stuff for an oil change, just, that kind of stuff. It all adds up. I think it was like about like $700 some or something I spent on motorbike stuff. But it's really been doing a great job of getting me back and forth to work. And even the price of gas, even filling up the bike, it just seems like, oh man, but basically, I guess everything's going along and I shouldn't complain too much. I should just try to be grateful and appreciate what I have. And, well, that's all I got today. Thanks for listening.